Hi everyone. I'm going to stand up because I'm trying to get rid of a cold, so I'm sorry I can't scream. Can anyone hear me in the back? Fine. I will do my best to scream and I apologize. So normally this presentation takes about an hour and I only have 15 minutes. I will do my best to give you a high level. As most of you got a lot of flyers in your desk, those are the most frequently asked questions do I get when I meet with employees. I gave you the checklist, I gave you the grandfather rule about who can retire with medical insurance. Social Security information, which is very popular. Unfortunately, we don't administer that here, but I gave you contact information for the Social Security. And most important, your Medicare Part A and Part B. So when you're thinking about retirement, you have to think about, there's two groups. There's a group that's retired under the Rule of 80, and there's a group that's retired at 65. The process is a bit different depending which group you fall under. If you retire under age Rule of 80, you're probably not even near to 65, so we don't really have to worry about your Medicare Part A and Part B. If you retire at 65, we do need to talk about your Medicare Part A and Part B, especially if you're retiring with a state insurance. So what I have done today, I just have a little bit of summary of what it looks like retiring to TRS and what would look like if you retire to the optional retirement program. So everybody thinks retirement because it's so complicated and stressful. It is not really. It's very easy to do in the research. Highly recommend that you start thinking about 6 months out. You don't have to have a lot of people decide to retire within the same month, and we still manage to get that done. So it's not stressful, it's very easy. And my job is to walk you through it. I might not be able to give you all the answers at once, but I will definitely do the research to make sure that you are getting to retire, and you make sure you get your pension for the following month. That's the goal. I want to take you there, right? Send me a postcard when we get there. So for those that are retiring, I have broken down kind of two-step process. Some of you have the checklist and kind of follow what I'm going to go over today. 6 months out, my recommendation would be if you're a TRS, to take the time to review this book, the handbook. This is the TRS benefit book. Kind of broken down everything you need to know about TRS. They also have a video, very nice long video. Just make sure you get a glass of wine before you start watching the video. I have watched it a couple of times, so that's what I'm telling you. Very informative. It just helps you at ease your mind and I can do this. I can definitely retire with any big problems. And then also start thinking about it. Did I transfer from a state institution? Do I qualify to buy military time? Do I have 400 hours of sick time? Can I buy 1 more year of service? When can I do that? Those are the things you really want to start thinking 6 months out. That way you have enough, you can contact TRS and ask for the cost, what cost will look like, especially if you decide to want to buy time, especially if you serve in the military, you're able to buy that time, which is going to help you overall with your monthly check, right? We want to increase that amount to the maximum. And then most importantly, submit your request. Even though you might not be ready to retire in December or January, but at least you will get an idea of what the estimate would look like. Kind of think from some perspective, can I really afford to live on $3,000 a month? And people think, I want to retire, but you really want to see the numbers. So I highly recommend that you really don't have to retire if you request that if you submit the TRS 18, that was just going to give you an idea of how many years of service. Most importantly, it gives you an opportunity to audit your account. You want to make sure that your salaries are correct. You want to make sure your years of service are showing correct, and this is the opportunity for you to do that. And then 2 months out, once you have looked at the numbers, it makes sense, you can afford to retire, then you want to meet with me. A lot of people meet with me before this second month. They meet like a year in advance, and I'm happy to help you. That way we can look at your profile one-on-one, and then we can determine if you can retire. Then 2 months back, you can come back to me, and then we can start the process of completing the university forms, and then we can start talking about your medical insurance, etc. So again, make an appointment and review your statement to make sure that everything looks correct. So teaching retirement system of Texas, how many of you are TRS today? How many of you are ORP? Ooh, or B. Okay, a lot of. Okay, so just TRS tends to be a little bit more complicated process. It takes about 31 days for you to get your estimate, especially if you want to retire at the end of the year, December. You want to make sure you contact today TRS so you can get that package. You don't have to submit it, your paperwork the month you retire. You have up to 2 months to submit that. A lot of people think, I have to submit it by before I leave the university. No, you don't have to. You have 2 months. So if you plan to retire January 31st, we can only retire at the end of the month. You cannot retire the 5th. Maybe your last physical day will be the 5th, but your actual retirement date is always going to be at the end of the month. So if you're thinking about January 31st, you have until March 31st to submit all your paperwork. Highly, please do not wait until March to submit your paperwork. I highly recommend that you do it before you leave the university, so at least you have that peace of mind. And these are the key forms you're going to receive from TRS. Those are the forms that only really applies to those who are retired on the TRS. You have your TRS 30. That's the form you're going to make your selection. I'm going to select option 1. If I die, my husband will be receiving my annuity for the rest of my husband's life. That's when you make those decisions. And that's the most important form you're actually going to submit to TRS. Then you have the TRS 7. That's actually the form that the payer of the private will certify your last income. That form will actually come to me. I will make sure the payer of the private process that on time to make sure you get that paycheck at the following month. And then you have the 228 to 28. Those are where your money is going to be deposited and how much taxes you want to pay on your pension. You have to pay taxes on your pension. This is not a Social Security. Unfortunately, you do have to pay. And just a copy of your driver's license and your beneficiary driver's license. So it's very easy once you know when to retire. Once you figure out if you're eligible to retire, it's not that complicated, I promise. You can actually submit this online. It's a very quick process. Again, regardless how you submit it through the mail, you submit it online, or by contacting TRS, you actually, the waiting period will be the same. You still have to wait 31 days for the paperwork to arrive. Again, like I was talking earlier today, you can only retire at the end of the month, and you have up to 2 months to be able to submit your paperwork. On the TRS, there are 4 options you can retire under: your regular age, early age, and you also have disability retirement as well. That you can, if something is happening in your life and you're not able to perform the essential duties of your job, and then you are considered disabled, then you can actually retire to TRS. So it's a great benefit that TRS offers to their members. Again, if you have a disability and you want to retire on the disability, this is how you will contact TRS, and they will advise you to send you some paperwork, medical certification that you will have to complete. And regardless, it doesn't matter if you're 42, 52, 62, it really doesn't matter. If you're disabled, you're able to retire on disability. And then, get in there. UNT process is very simple. Once you have sent your TRS forms, these are the forms that you are now be completing regardless if you return to TRS or an optional retirement program. We're going to review the policy. We're going to review your sick time policy. We're going to review your vacation and your comp time policy. Make sure that if you accrue 1.5, then make sure you know that that will be paid out to you. Your vacation will be paid out to you for those who accrue those. I know everybody don't accrue vacation here, but your sick time is not paid out to you. So that's something everybody thinks they can get money out of that vacation time. Some people do want to use their vacation time to buy 1 year of service, and the big confusion they get, for 400 hours will give me 1 year of service. No, 400 hours will make you eligible for you to buy 1 year of service. A lot of people don't realize that you're able to use your 403b account, for those who have those, and be able to use your 403b account to buy that year of service. So you're doing pre-tax money to buy 1 year service that might bring you annuity to maybe $100, $200. So something you want to consider, especially if you have worked here for a lot of years, you have more than 400 hours when you get to retire. And this is just a quick forms, very simple process. We have, and I will walk you through, I will provide all the forms to you. Optional retirement program, that is the easiest method to retire to UNT because it's not much you have to do. You just have to meet with your financial advisor, make sure that you have enough money in your account, and then make the decision if you're able to retire. Your ORP, actually the years of service, how we calculate based on the years of service you have with your university, is not what TRS have, is what we have with your university. Option retirement program is which basically is just money. Can I have enough years to retire on the rule of 80? If I'm 65, you know, the only have to worry is about how much money you have in your account. And that's pretty much it. And then I have a couple process. You have the option to leave the money there. You really don't have to take the money with you. If you want to work in the private sector, you're able to do that as well. But if you do want to roll over your money, you just have to print a certification, or I will have to write a vesting letter to your provider, and that way you'll be able to make a decision how you want to invest your money. Yes.
We're off of TRS now.
Yes, yeah, ORP. ORP is the easiest process to retire. You really just have to look at your finance and then determine what you're going to do with your money. That's the easiest process. Something else you want to keep in mind with optional retirement program, because the money is yours, and you'll be able to roll over the money to any other retirement account, any other investment account. Your optional retirement program account has to remain active for the rest of your years, especially if you are able to retire with the state medical insurance, because in order for you to have the state medical insurance, your ORP account has to be active. If the ERS does do an audit and your account is closed, then you will lose the privilege of having the medical insurance. So that's one of the main concerns. Please make sure you do a calculation to determine how much it will cost to keep that account active, because once you leave the university, you're no longer able to deposit any money into that optional retirement program because you retire. Yes, sir.
What do you mean by minimum balance? Is there a certain figure?
Not necessarily. It could be $500. It really depends how much it costs per year to keep your account active. If the type of investment portfolio you have costing you a percentage, you just have to calculate how much. Let's say if you're expected to live until you're 90, you're 60 now, when you're retiring, so that's an example, you have to make sure you calculate what it will cost to have your account active for 30 years, especially if you want to remain to keep your account, in case ERS does do an audit. And remember, the medical insurance with the state of Texas, you have beneficiary benefits. So if something happens to you and your spouse is on the insurance, your spouse is able to continue have the medical insurance even though you're no longer alive. So it's something you really want to consider. A lot of financial advisors have asked that question, how much you marry, because I keep getting that question. It could be from $500, it could be to $1,000. It really depends how much it costs your account to be active. And I see, you see, 50 minutes, I think I have a good timing, yeah. And then I know you have a lot of questions. I brought my business card if you really want to connect with me after. Thank you.
Would you like to hear from everybody first and there's questions at the end? Okay. Larry, do you want to do your spiel or no? Or do you want to have the under spiel?
I'll do mine first, I guess. I'll be fast. Found one error in here. Of your benefits, it says for all sporting events, you get one free ticket to each Mean Green football and basketball game. Actually, you get two.
Actually, no.
No.
Not new administration.
One.
I'm getting two.
Don't tell anybody.
It's only one.
Only one?
Yeah.
Must be the impression. Okay. Whatever. Mike asked me if I talk. I really didn't know what to talk about. So, if you have any questions, feel free. I still have the email account, and I'd be glad to answer anything if you'd like to do that. So I thought, well, maybe what I'd do is I'd just try to give a little picture of what the experience was like for me personally, kind of going through it. And I have to give a lot of credit to Mariella here for all the technical stuff that she really did help with. And I encourage you to talk to her a lot. If you've never done it, and just in terms of getting ready, I recommend, life occurs in stages, and just a couple of things where people talk about stages of life. And some of these things, they don't have to say a whole lot about retirement. They're usually stored at the end of the books. There's a short thing about the stage of retirement. I suppose people who wrote the books hadn't retired, so based on their assumptions that they were making. And the Book of Joy is one that I thought was a good read. It's just talking about life. What's life all about? All right, getting ready. The Clarence Farm is one that Mariella gave me, that I had to go through, and it involves access control. So you have to turn in all your keys. So I had to turn in all my keys. Now, I decided when I retired, there was an option to go on modified service, so I decided I'm going to do that. So I'm going to be back in January. So I took a little finagling. I said, look, I can turn in all my keys and come back and get them in January. Is it okay, but just keep them? So they said, well, if it's okay with the chair, I guess it's all right. So I had the chair sign off. It was okay. So I got to keep all my keys. So I don't have to go through everything. Parking. If you're retired, you get that retired sticker. If you're on modified service, you still have to buy a sticker, an FS sticker at least.
What is the retired sticker?
Free.
Free in anywhere?
No.
FS or visitor.
FS lot.
Or FS or
Oh,
visitor
I didn't
block.
know that. Well, I got the free.
FS?
Told me.
Faculty staff,
Used to be D.
used to be D.
Oh, okay.
Okay, the department supervisor has to sign off, the last person to sign off on that form. The one thing that wasn't on there was anything about the library. I still have a lot of books checked out from the library, but since I'll be using them and using some of them now, so. All right, so this is how it went for me. When I started thinking about retirement, it started dawn on me, it's time. There's thinking about certain, a lot of uncertainty things kind of come to mind. So, well, what's next? And anytime you make changes, there's always sort of some feelings of loss and some mourning. You're giving something up. You're saying goodbye to it. And so there's some sadness about it, and you kind of have to kind of work your way through that and live through some of those feelings. And eventually, had to go over and talk to decided I better go over and talk to the dean and let them know I'm thinking about stepping out of here. So they were very, very nice, and we went through all the things. Well, when do you want to retire? Or what do you want to do? If you want to do modified service or not? It's an option you might want to think about. So they gave me a lot of things to think about. I talked to the chair, and talked to the chair. Said, well, you don't have to retire. So that kind of raised some of my uncertainties about do I really want to do this? This isn't the thing to do. And I talked to friends. Some of them are saying, well, when are you going to retire? You just work till you drop until they carry you out. Talked to some of my siblings. I have I'm a younger sibling, younger than me, who's retired. So I'm thinking, well, I don't know, maybe it is about time. And I talked to colleagues, other faculty members in the department. Sometimes, when everybody knows you're the most senior one left in the department, they start asking, well, how long are you gonna retire? You think about retiring? How long are you gonna hang around? So there were a lot of uncertainties, things in that first year. And then after I talked with the chair, I decided, well, maybe it's not a good idea. Maybe I'll hang around another year. So I went into year 2. In year 2, I really started working on shifting my own thinking, and I really started talking to myself a lot. Well, maybe it really is time. There's life after retirement. It's one. I know a number of people who retired, and one of them told me every day's like Saturday. Sounds good to me. So I started talking to myself and taught myself positive things about it. You don't have to stick to a schedule, class schedule. You can stuck to an academic calendar. You can only take off and do things when you don't have to be there. There's a lot of positives to it. And gradually it started feeling pretty good. I thought about that. Felt like the right thing to do. And as I was going through my last year of teaching, I thought, yeah, it just would be nice not to have to be doing this and be committed to a schedule. But when I finally did decide that I'm gonna do it, I told the dean and the chair, and then I started talking to Mariella Marth, and I decided that it's just my nature to continue with my commitments all the way up until the very end. So I actually taught the second summer session this past summer, which I've been doing for several years, but I said I'll do it. So I did that till the end of the August term. And then I also started letting people, staff, and some people in the department colleagues know, but I'm going, I'm really going to go. I'm going to go on modified service, but I'm definitely stepping down. And then I remembered someone was saying to Dalai Lama, he said, everything literally has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And so I'm thinking, well, this part of my life, teaching faculty member, it's coming to an end. Officially, it's an end because you're retired. Now you go on modified service, and I thought, well, that didn't look like a very bad deal. In the policy manual, it says you can request modified service for up to 3 years. And you can teach half-time for each of those 3 years for half your salary. Then at the end of the 3 years, you're totally severed from the university. And one of the two nice things about that policy, I looked at that, and it's half-time all year long, or you can lump it all into one semester and take the rest of the year off. So I thought, well, that's a pretty good deal. So I've decided I'll come back in January and lump it all into the spring semester and be gone the rest of the time. The other good thing about the modified program is that it's for 3 years. If you don't want to finish it, you don't have to. You can just tell them, as long as you give them at least a 30-day notice before a semester starts that you're supposed to be teaching. You said, I don't want to do this at all anymore. And then you're totally free. So I'm going to try it for a year and see what it's like. And then I'll decide whether to continue it or not after that. The other thing about modified service, and when you retire, you do surrender your tenure. Go on modified service. So even on modified service, you're really an at-will employee when it comes right down to it. So if there was some financial exigency and they needed to save money or whatever, they could just say, well, that's it, we're not going to honor the rest of the commitment. And so there's some pluses and minuses on each side. So I weighed those. I thought, well, even if there's a financial exigency at the university, the whole time I've been here, I don't think I've ever seen one. I've known other universities where they have had them, but I've not seen it here. So I'm kind of optimistic that we'll hang around for 3 years. It's not going to be any big problem. So my advice is getting ready, give yourself a lot of lead time. So I worked through it for about 2 years. And at least, as Mariella says, at least 60 days, but really get serious, at least 90 days before the date you're going to retire. And I found Mariella very helpful. Tammy Patterson is over in the administration building, and I talked to her some about trying to understand TRS, ORP, and ERS with all these abbreviations. It's kind of hard sometimes to figure out where are you, what are we talking about.
Which are you?
ORP. Mariella's office is over there in say Sycamore Hall, and well, she told you all this stuff already. So, and then getting ready. Part of it's dealing with Medicare services and Social Security. When I went on Social Security, I found that I was amazed how easy it was. I didn't even have to go to the office; I just did it all online, and made an appointment. Somebody would call. And they called when they said they would, and they got cleared up all the details and answered any questions, and it was fine. When I had to go on Medicare, and that was just as easy to do. Didn't have to go to the Medicare office, just filled out the papers and mailed them in. And then when I decided to go on modified service, one of the things I found out, and Mariella told me, that you cannot be on Part B and on the university health insurance as a full-time employee simultaneously to get this control of this. So what I had to learn is trying to figure out how to turn off Medicare B when I come back in January, how to turn it back on when I leave at the end of the spring semester for the rest of the year. And that makes me a little nervous about everything getting done right. But I actually called Medicare, talked to a lady, and she was very helpful, explained exactly what I was doing, said, you're gonna do this, okay, here's the forms. Here's what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna mail you these forms. And she mailed me the forms, I didn't bring them. And on one form, she put a little sticky, it says, all right, in November, mail this form in, because it's gonna turn off Part B. She gave me another form, and she said, and she also gave me the addresses of where to send them. So, and then she gave me the other form. All right, now, in April, mail in this form to turn it back on. So then the only thing I really have to worry about is when I talk to Mariella, that Part B's gotta be turned off. I just make sure she gets health insurance turned back on.
Yeah.
for UNT. So that's my biggest anxiety at this point. That's all I got to say. If anybody has any questions, emails up there, feel free to answer, talk to them.
When you say you contacted the Medicare, do you mean the national office of Medicare?
Yes, there's an 800, use the 800 number. And they connected me to, don't know what I wanted, and they connected me to who I needed to be connected to.
I've been given conflicting information about when and whether I need to sign up for Parts A and B. And also, I have yet to find a human being connected with UNT or the various insurance outfits who can help me. I had a helpful, there's a Medicare office on, I think, Colorado
Right.
Boulevard.
Right.
And the guy I talked to there was helpful, but he said I had to sign up, and then I talked to somebody else, and she said I didn't. I mean, is there a human being connected with UNT who can help me with Medicare? I am so lost.
We can, yeah, we can definitely talk. In terms of Medicare, I mean, I can guide you through
I
it.
thought you said you couldn't help me with
I
Medicare.
cannot process the Medicare for you, but I mean, we can call together, like he said.
Okay, I can see you, and you will hold my hand.
I would
Do it with
dial
me.
for you.
Okay,
Yeah. I
that's
have
all
done
I
that.
want.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then we both could be on the phone asking the same question.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have done that. It might take us an hour and a half to get through it, but
Yeah.
we would do it, yeah.
Thanks, Marion.
Take it away.
I'm Johnny Sue Reynolds, and I am happily retired. It will be 10 years this December, so I can't believe it. I'm TRS, and I will tell you, I had an exit plan from the very beginning. I knew that I was going to retire after 30 years. I made it 34 until one day I said, I'm done. So the process was very easy. UNT was wonderful. Go sit and just let them work with you. I never went to Austin for them to help me. Everything online is so good. I ordered my packet like a year ahead of time so I could study it. I mean, I didn't fill it out, I studied it. And then I ordered another packet and right before I retired, just in the event that they would change anything. No problems whatsoever. So UNT, HR is miraculous. Just go there and they will help you through. You will find that when you retire, you get your first year with the UNT Retiree Association called UNTRA. You get your first year free, which you never get anything free. Once you retire, all kinds of things are free. Free parking sticker, that is the best thing ever. So, have you ever had a free parking sticker? No. But when you retire, you do. You still get use of the library, pretty much everything. And we used to get 2 free tickets to all the games, now it's 1. So take a date or a spouse or a friend, whatever, you have to buy another ticket, but that's not a big deal. We used to be called RIPS. Who would want to be involved in RIPS? Before my time, I did not want to do that, so it's now UNTRA, UNT Retiree Association. I was chair for 2 years. Keith Shelton is chair this year. We're always looking for new people. we just have the best time. And the Retiree Association is for everyone. We have former university presidents on our association membership, and we have custodians that took care of my building at Chilton Hall. So when we have big events and potlucks, we're all the same. So we're not in our, as Michael said, in our little silos anymore. We're all one. Yes,
Are the spouses included?
yes.
Also, it had $75 flat fee for classes?
Yeah, perfect. It's wonderful. It's what, you didn't audit anything. I mean, I'm telling you, there are more benefits as a retiree than there were when you ever worked here. We have all kinds of things that we do all year long. We have a brunch that the president's office supports every September, so everybody gets invited to that. We just had our tailgate for homecoming 2 weeks ago, and two of our members came and barbecued, and we had beer, we had all kinds of stuff. They tried to regulate us on our alcohol consumption, and I said, we are not seniors, we are different kinds of seniors, so leave us alone.
So, do retirees get access to the UNT library
Yes,
system?
yes.
Okay, you don't, okay, super. So you can go do the e-journal search?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and then how about gymnasium, the
You
rec
have to
center?
pay for that like back
You
in the
pay,
day.
but you can.
Yeah, discounted rate.
Yeah.
Okay.
You also, something else we got that was really good.
You give your retiree ID.
Your retiree ID, you can keep your email address. I still have my email address, so keep your email address. I still work, I still teach online for UNT and another university, because I can be anywhere and I can work in my jammies, whatever I want to do. If we ever get to where we have to Skype for teaching, I'm out of there. We take a trip to the Meyerson in the spring. We charter a bus. We have adult beverages on the bus because we're not driving. We have a wonderful dinner, a buffet at the Meyerson. We have a pre-concert lecture, and we have wonderful performance, whatever we decide to go see, and then we have the same bus back, and mostly because we're seniors and we've had some adult beverages, we sleep on the way back. It's just great. We are housed over in Woodhill Square. Our board meetings and all of our meetings are over in Woodhill Square. No problems parking over there, unlike on the main campus, you do have problems. We have bylaws, brand new bylaws that we just updated. Retirees and spouses or partners are all invited. The dues are cheap, $20 for a single, $30 for a couple. And I've never had any dues that were that cheap ever. We have 4 committees that we work on benefits all the time to make sure you get to keep your retiree email, to keep your parking sticker. So it's worth being part of our group in order to have that lobbying for you, because we just march up the hill and talk and say, we got to get this changed. So we've got all these wonderful people that will do that for us. We're over in Woodhill Square. We're part of Lifelong Learning. We have a lovely little office suite. It's just a great